this is. No. The title of the day is Pepe'S Kiss. Can you see Pepe? That's when he knows I have oatmeal cookies. And I don't care how I try to hide. He'll be dead asleep in the other room. And I'll walk in there and he'll be right there. Yep. And I'll hide him behind my coffee mug and he'll be going, looking where they are. He knows they're there. And so he just gives me that sweet face. Well, I'm going to get into that in just a minute. Next page. This one caught my eye, and I'm going to try to bend this around. I hope you guys can follow me. In Exodus 32, verse number 1, Israel, after 430 years of slavery, has been delivered. Moses has brought them out of Egypt, and now they're at Mount Sinai, and they're fixing to get the law from God. And Moses goes up on the mountain, and there's fire and thunder and all this, and these people have seen miracles, and they've seen deliverance. They've seen the sea split, walked over on dry ground. They saw all the Egyptians drown behind them, and they're sitting there, and Moses is up there for a few days. I don't know how long, it doesn't really say, but it had to be less than 40 days. So we're talking about, he hadn't been gone a month, probably not a week.
Okay.
And they go to Aaron and they said, make us a new God. And I always thought, well, what was that about? Surely they're not so stupid that they think a calf has any power.
Yeah.
And I studied on this and I realized something. It's because please come here. These people had been around the presence of God. They had been around a movement of God. So much so that they got so used to having that presence that when it was gone, they wanted anything they could find to take its place.
Yep. Oh, wow.
They didn't care if it looked like a calf. We'll just call it that. Maybe that'll bring the mojo back. Maybe that'll bring what we've been enjoying. How we've had meals waiting on us every morning. That enemies fall beside us. That nothing, the cloud covers us by day and the pillar of fire by night. Where is it gone?
Right.
I'll tell you where it's gone. It's gone with the guy that's carrying it.
Okay.
They were just getting to enjoy it while he was down on the ground. We're living in an age where there's a whole lots of people are enjoying the presence of God, not personally, but because they're around it.
All right. Okay. That's it.
Next page. It's the same thing that happened, and I'm not picking on millennials, and I'm not picking on you or anybody, I'm picking on us. I'm talking about what God is speaking to me is that He's not finished. He hadn't even begun to do the great works He's going to do. It just looks like right now that we're just adrift in a sea of immorality. We're adrift in a sea of where nothing is absolute anymore. Yeah. The prevailing theory now with young college-age kids is that the Bible, some of it is God's Word. Wow. Well, where do you start that? Ken, when do you start picking and choosing what is and isn't? Because if you start canceling out for long, you're going to get to John 3:16 or Romans 10:9 and 10. The thing that we've hung our eternity on. Okay. Well, did God really say that? In fact, and it's kind of funny to me that the first spoken word of the devil was, did God really say it? Yeah. So he ain't got any new tricks. He's just trying to start over with the script. Okay. Elijah came back after 7 years. And he confronted Ahab. And he walked up to the people and he said, how long are you guys going to falter between two opinions? Right. Yeah. Either God is God and you're going to serve Him, or the devil is God and you're going to serve Him. And you know what the problem was? It wasn't that they had thoughts about the devil and they had been drifting over into sin. The problem was that they could not make up their mind. They didn't choose. That's what's wrong. God says, I can take it if you're hot. I can take it if you're cold. But when you're squarely in the middle and you have no opinion and you have no passion about anything, I can't do anything with you.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. In fact, Revelation 3, He said, I'll vomit you right out of my mouth. Yep. He goes on to say that church at Laodicea, you know what you all say, you're warm and you're filled. I used to think that was the world, or maybe rich people. No, that's us. We're warm, fuzzy, and we're filled. We're not filled to feel warm and fuzzy. We're not filled so we can have good services or filled so we can get our prayers answered. We're filled so that we can overflow on people who don't know Him outside of Him. That's the whole purpose of the flow.
Yeah.
Next page.
That's it. That's good.
Each generation in modern times carries a label. Do you notice that? The World War I group was called the Greatest Generation.
Yeah.
World War II they called the GI generation. After that there were the baby boomers. Then there was Generation X, and now we have the millennials. But it is my observation that this time and generation is best defined as this. They don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody knows anything. You can't trust the newspaper. You can't trust the news. You can't trust people who are supposed to tell you the truth. You can't trust photographs. They can be doctored. You can't trust video. That can be doctored. How does anybody know what's really real in this world? And so because of that, everybody's pulled back.
Okay.
And I'm not about to risk it
Right.
for you to hurt me, or for you to disappoint me, or for you to make a fool out of me.
Okay.
I'm not going to go out on a limb for Jesus. I don't know. I've known so many people that claim to know Him, but I can't, they're just like me on the weekends. And they claim to know Him, they go to church, but then they just lie and cheat like everybody else.
Uh-oh.
So I don't know. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. And so what's happening in the church is that we had to find other ways to reach people.
Okay.
We've had to find a way to entice them and to bring them in by using things they enjoy. Let's just make it to where it's good for you. And make it, it's like the biggest worry, and I talk to pastors all the time, the biggest worry is how do I keep people in church? I can't keep them coming to church.
Yeah.
Because it's not a priority. It's not something that means life or death. It's just something I tag on to the end of an already too busy schedule. And when something else comes up, that can take a hit because I know this is really important. I need it done right now.
Yeah. Right.
And as long as God tarries and nothing's happening, then we pick it up next week. It's like tithing. God, I'll catch you next month. No, you won't. You can catch it the month before that.
Right.
It's all these little things that you don't think mean anything. They mean everything.
Right.
Because it's not what you see, it's where it's going.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Touch your neighbor and say, aren't you glad you got up this morning? Next time.
Good you got up this morning.
What I got to say, this is one of the first scriptures that was taught me. Now, y'all heard my testimony all the time, but I won't tell it again anymore. I grew up in this town, and my father was the principal, so I was everything he didn't want me to be. I wanted all my friends to know that I wasn't going to narc on them and tell my dad, so I was just bad. And then my little brother gets saved, and I went about to cave into that deal, so I went off to college. And I thought I was a pretty decent person until I talked to people that used to know me, and I think, Dave, I wasn't. Ron Puckett said I was unkind. I think that's the word you use, unkind. So when I got born again, and I knew something happened, I just didn't start going to church. I just didn't try to work on my moral, core values. I had an encounter with God that so transformed me. When I got up off the floor, I didn't know who I was anymore.
Okay. Right.
And there was that gap of time where I either found out who I really was, or the world started telling me who I used to be until I assumed that identity. So people surrounded me and they started pumping me full of word. And one of the things I got hold of was Jesus stood up in the midst of them and said, if you're not with me, you're against me. There aren't varying degrees in the kingdom. You're either for Him, or if you're not 100% for Him, then at 99% you're against Him. Because the devil likes to take those semi-committed people and use them as billboards to discredit the entire thing.
That's right.
And if you're not gathering with me, you're scattered.
Come on, Pastor.
And so from the very beginning, y'all still with me?
Yes.
From the very beginning, I felt like it was my responsibility to reach the lost. I felt like from the very beginning, even before I knew much in the Bible to hold, it was my job to tell people what had happened to me so that they could bask in the same thing I had just experienced. And I had people tell me from the old church we went to, Sharon and I got married, came back to the church we used to go to, and all the people I used to think were spiritual, I'm like, y'all don't have what I got.
Yeah.
They were staring at me when I raised my hands up, and let me tell you, it was a big ordeal. Yeah. And so I'm just saying that was my life, and that was my lot with God. And I don't think I was special. I don't think that there was anything about me that was different I always thought I was the borderline, I was the baseline Christian. I was the generic version of what this should ought to be. That every person that got born again should say, Lord, it's not my life but your life. My life is paid, and you paid your life as a ransom for me. Now I'm giving you my life. That's the end of the story.
Okay.
You're now Lord and Master of my life. You tell me what you want to do with my life.
Right.
And that's how it started. And this was the kind of thing, it was black and white. There wasn't any gray. There wasn't any situational ethics. There wasn't this thing that says, well, how do you feel about it? I don't know how you feel about it. What's the Bible say, right?
Right,
Next page.
right.
Next page. We sit down. When John sees, and this, look here. I know this is in the Bible. I preach from it all the time. But something in me always says, Mark, if I'm not gathering big numbers, I'm not succeeding.
Okay.
If we're not seeing vast things happen that we can count and take account of and accumulate, then it doesn't feel like we're making any progress. And if you were Jesus in the day, I cannot find the modern day philosophy of what we're trying to do anywhere in what he did. What he did.
Right.
I mean, Jesus was putting on the show, okay? He was healing the sick, casting out devils. They didn't have cable.
Right.
Or Netflix, so they go out there and watch this happen. You ever seen somebody get the devil cast out of them? It's pretty awesome to watch, okay? It's the real deal. And so you're watching these things happen, and then food was catered every day by somebody bringing 5 loaves or 2 fish. We all ate till it was full. So it's a free meal, a free show.
Okay.
And we get to hang out and do what we like to do. We're doing life together. And, sorry, I said that. And then all of a sudden, in the peak, it says at one point that Jesus took those 5 loaves and 2 fish and fed 5,000 men. Now, that didn't count their wives or their children. So if it was a family of 5, it could have been 25. Some people say 50 to 100,000 people were following him everywhere he went. And in the midst of this epic moment where they're going to start a new campus, Jesus steps up and says, in case y'all don't get this part, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, you don't have any part in what's going on. What does that mean? It means you can be all around this thing, just like the people were around Mount Sinai. But until it's in you, you don't have a clue. You're just searching for another golden calf.
Ah, okay.
You know what? It said everybody left except the 12.
Wow. Come on.
And don't you know that they were sitting there going, nice going, Galilean. We was just getting started, getting some momentum, getting some traction. Maybe we could go into Jerusalem and start a new political party and vote those guys out. And here you go, your little eat the flesh, drink the blood thing.
Right.
And everybody's gone. And Jesus walked up to the 12 and he said, does this offend you? And they didn't say it, but I know they said, yeah, it offends me too. What are you talking about?
Come on.
But here's the point. Why didn't they leave? Everybody else was offended. They were offended too. Why didn't they leave? Because Peter said, yeah, I'm offended. I don't even understand what you're doing, but I know when you start talking, something comes alive inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've searched this world over and I can't find it anywhere else, and I know I'm not ever going back to that. I may not be happy here today. I may be, I've got my lower lip rolled out and I'm tripping over it because I'm pouting about everything that's not going my way. But I'm never going back there.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I've had a taste. I'm not just circling, trying to get the benefit. Next page.
Whew. That's good.
Why were those guys so different? Why didn't they leave him? What Jesus said offended them as much as those that departed. Why was their response different? Because no matter what, they had found something that eclipsed every other human experience. When Jesus spoke, his words made stuff come alive. If you haven't had this experience with God, you haven't gotten it yet.
Amen.
You've got a list of do's and don'ts and
Right.
morality, and you've got some good habits, but until you've had this thing penetrate you,
Yes, or
you haven't got it yet. And I'm not trying to shine the light on you and say boo on you. I'm just saying, we're getting to the time where we need to make sure we know what we're talking about and that we know him, because there's coming a time when that's going to really matter more than even today. Next page. Y'all getting this?
Yes.
In John chapter 4, here's what I want to get about Pepe. In John 4:23 it says that the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship him. Let me ask you, do you think God is so egotistical that he has to have us groveling at his feet? Don't you think for 1 minute that maybe worship is for our benefit?
Yes.
I was sitting on the couch the other day, and Pepe, I love him. If you don't know our little dog, I was sitting outside my fire pit about 3 years ago, around the time of Thanksgiving, and this little brown dog jumped 5 years ago, and this little brown dog jumped in my lap. And I bought those purebred AKC, by golly doggone, purebred dogs, and they're dumb as a rock. Okay? Costs a lot of money, and this is the best dog I've ever had in my life. But he doesn't give you his affection. He's like a cat in a lot of ways. You call him, he look at you like, what? I'm real comfortable right here. What do you mean? I've already gone outside. Didn't you remember a few minutes ago? And all of a sudden, he comes up, and he sits in my lap. He never does this. And he starts licking my hand. I thought, have I got food on me or something? It wasn't that. He started doing it, and the Lord reminded me that the word worship here, the Greek word, literally means like a dog licking his master's hand. I'm coming not because I want anything, not because I need anything, because this is the only way I can convey to you how much I love that hand that's got a nail through it. And I realize that that's the relationship. That's all he cares about. He doesn't care about anything else in the world, in the universe, but that moment right there. He wants you and him to be one. All this stuff we talk about, Jesus, the Bible, everything is all about one thing, that he can have that moment with you.
Okay.
And I realize how many times he's seeking to have that moment with me.
Yes.
And I'm just too busy.
Me too, Pastor.
Sometimes I'm too busy looking for him.
Yes.
And he's right there.
Yes, sir.
There's so many distractions in the world. There's so many things that pull you away from your pursuit, because the irony is that the busier we get, the more God's trying to remind us, I have made it simple.
Mm-hmm.
One
Okay.
thing. Just
Right.
one thing. If you don't do anything else, if you do the one thing, it'll all figure itself out. If you don't get them new shoes for school, and if you don't get all your gifts bought, and get your Christmas decorations out, get your turkey basting, if you'll forget all that and spend your time licking the hand of the one that gave his life for you, he'll get all that done
Right.
better than you ever could.
You're right. Amen.
Next page. I love him. He's messy. His hair sticks to everything but him. We built our brand new house, and I wouldn't let people cross the line to eat in the den. And now, forget it. We got, I'm picking dog hair out of my cornflakes. It's just whatever. Anybody know what I'm talking about? But you know what? Because I love him. And I don't care if you don't like him, then go home and stay at your house. But if you come to my house, there's probably going to be some dog hair.
What kind of dog is it,
Who knows? He didn't even know. I think it was a bunch of dogs that broke into pieces and they put them back together wrong. But next page.
He's long-haired dachshund.
Well, this is something I want to conclude with this. He's a long-haired dachshund, my wife said, but there's more.
Well, yeah.
I think there is a cat somewhere.
It's the base.
In Genesis 4:1, y'all still with me? Just give me a few more minutes. I'm trying to tie all this together. Because, see, you start out with a group that's hanging around outside, and they don't know God from a hole in the ground. But they want his presence.
Right.
Because it's benefiting them.
Right.
And see, that's the age we are living in. Where it's all about what it's done for me.
Yeah.
What can God do for me? He will heal me. He'll bless me. He'll pay my bills. He'll keep bad things about me. And that's the people who hung around the mountain. The one that went up on the mountain
Okay.
was saying, God, what do you want?
Woo. Yes. Oh, man.
And so Genesis 4:1, it said Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived. Now I want y'all to put your big boy pants on for me for a second. The word knew was to simulate the intimate relationship between a husband and a wife. In Luke 1:38, when Gabriel spoke to Mary and said, "You're highly favored, and they're going to be telling your story from now on. And there's going to be a child, and it's going to be in your womb." She said, "How can that happen? I've never known a man." He said, "It's not going to be that way. It's going to be that the power of the Holy Spirit is going to overshadow you, and you're going to conceive in your womb." What did Mary say? Let it be. She received that word, let it be done. Guess what happened? She conceived.
Yes.
Mary was pregnant because she had a knowing relationship with the Holy Spirit. You follow me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's good, Pastor.
Next page. In Isaiah 64, he says, "But we are all like an unclean thing, and our righteousnesses are like filthy rags." Now, when I read that word, I'm trying to think about, when I change an oil filter on a car. It's just that, or the brakes or something. You get it on, you just can't get it off. You get those rags and rub it. But that wasn't it at all. I want you to pay attention just for a second. Because when I looked this up in the Hebrew, it really startled me. Because when he's talking about a filthy rag, he's talking about a feminine cloth, a feminine for her time of the month. You know why? What does that symbolize? When a woman has her cycle, what does that say at the end of that? She's not pregnant. What is he saying? When you try to bring me your righteousness, you haven't conceived. I haven't gotten in there. We haven't formed something together. You're still trying to circle the mountain and do it on your own. When I know you, then we're intimate. You can't tell where Jesus ends and Charley begins. And something is formed in my heart. And then when everybody else leaves, I'm his. When tough times come and when it's time for me to deny his name, I can't because I'm his.
Yeah.
He makes it easy when you dive in and go all the way. There's nowhere else to go.
Yep.
But when you're still trying to tip the tightrope and see how close to the world you can stay and still get it into heaven, you haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not fussing at anybody here. I'm just trying to say that the times we're coming into, that's where the delineation is going to be. There's going to be a group that wants God to do it for them, and there's going to be that remnant that wants to do whatever God wants.
Right.
And I want you to be in that group. I want to be in that group myself. Next page. This is it. Let's go ahead and lower the lights, and I just want to pray for you. I don't know if this conveyed the message I wanted to, but I'm just telling you that there's always a group that represents the bell curve. What's popular? What everybody's saying. What it looks like. It's like this. If you were to go to Vegas and they've got a roulette table, they put up there all the numbers that have hit. Like that means anything.
Right.
Because when they spin that wheel and drop that P, it's going to land wherever it wants to. It doesn't matter. If it lands on 20 every time, it doesn't matter. The next time, there's no guarantee that it'll ever land it. But we take statistics and we take, leading factors, and we try to figure out what God's going to do and what he's done before. And we try to see what's popular. And the church is always 2 steps behind the world anyway when it comes to this stuff. We're waiting for somebody else to make it popular to make sure it works, and then we do it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
But I feel like God is bringing us to a time where he's saying, I need you to hear me. I don't need you to hear what they're doing. I need you to listen to me.
Okay.
I need to birth something in you. I need to deposit something in you, the kingdom in you. It's like when Jesus went to those fig trees and they were barren, and he cursed them because they had not conceived. There was no fruit. And he said in chapter 7, I can't make this happen. I'm not going to try to browbeat you, or I'm just going to put it out there. Because if there's any work we need to do in our heart, it's up to us to do it between us and the Holy Spirit. But he spoke to them. He said, many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name? You know what? Those psychic hotlines, some of them are working. You know why? Because they're using demonic spirits to do it.
Yes. Yes.
You know, just because
Spirit realm, that's right.
this stuff is as real as you can possibly believe it is. And he said that when we prophesy in your name, you may be able to do that. You may be able to exercise what you think are spiritual gifts. I met a guy the other day, and his whole family's been doing stuff. And when I finally met him, I realized it wasn't under the Holy Spirit. It was under a familiar spirit. They were healing people. It wasn't God doing it. You know how I know that? Because when they left the stage, there's no fruit of it in their life. You can't tell me that. And so we had a little breakthrough there. And he said, then I prophesied, I cast out demons in your name. I did many wonders in your name. And then I'll declare to them, I never knew you. You were just hanging around. We never connected. You never gave yourself totally to me, and I never was able to give myself totally to you. You have reservations. Well, I'm going to say this. Everybody in this room, I'm going to bow our heads and pray. Everybody here's got a past. You got ugly things that have hurt you and kept you in a box. Are you ready to say, I'm no longer a slave to fear? I'm no longer going to be held in bondage by the things I've endured or the things that have been done to me or the things that I've done. I'm ready to walk through the blood and come out on the other side brand new so that I cannot be pulled back in by the accuser of the brethren. Lord, I'm here to tell you my heart is yours, that I want to fellowship with you, that word to intertwine and become one with you. Lord, we're the bride of Christ. Lord, I'm your bride. I want to be one with you. I want you to be able to birth in me the things that you want to happen in this world. I want you to be able to find in me fertile soil so that you can deposit your callings, your giftings, your assignment for this next age. I pray for everybody in this room that, Lord God, if we've gotten in the habit of just circling the mountain and calling it God, if we just have gotten addicted to the presence of God and the things of God, but we're not addicted to God, then, Lord, do a work in our heart today. Because, Lord, I don't know how much longer it's like when Noah built the ark. You closed the door. You closed the door. I don't know when the door is closing, and I'm saying this for us in this church, and for us as this body. Remind us what our work is. Remind us what our first love is. Remind us what our mission is. And to be busy about the Father's business. I'm just going to play this music for a little bit if you know. So come down.